you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
All right.
no.
Let me jump in on this one. This is
what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run? What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez recently sat down for a CNN town hall to discuss the government shutdown. During the discussion, as you just saw, CNN's Kaitlan Collins asked AOC about a possible primary challenge against Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in 2028. And, as you noticed, AOC and Sanders didn't take kindly to that question.
The topic of social media also came up during the town hall. AOC said part of the reason Republicans have done better with Democrats with social media messaging is because of how they've appealed to young men in what she feels is a dangerous way. Let's watch.
They are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide us.
Healthcare remains one of the biggest issues in the ongoing government shutdown. AOC was asked about comments from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has recently called out the Republican Party for its stances on healthcare. Here's what AOC said about possibly working with MTG.
I think people can talk a good game, but until they actually support policy that helps people, I'm not particularly interested. But if she actually wants to support legislation and expanding healthcare, I've worked with plenty of Republicans as well.
AOC reiterated that healthcare is not an issue that she and other Dems are willing to budge on when it comes to the government shutdown. She said, "I think we know what we will not accept, and what we will not accept is for the ACA premiums to skyrocket on the American people."
I hope you spent a good hour and a half listening to AOC and Bernie on Wednesday night, did you? Thursday night?
I had other things, other ways to spend
I was
time.
Glued to it, Robbie, as you might well imagine.
Well, look, and I won't, well, let's start with the first part. We'll just go through them. I certainly wouldn't automatically take Kaitlan Collins' side in some beef with either of them. I did think their outrage there was I'm sorry. I would be with them if she spent just the entire time talking about horse race politics and what. But like, you're going to get one question about this. That is a legitimate news question. It is fine. If she harps on it, then I'm with you. Let's move on to other things. But sorry, Bernie, it's not. This entire event will not be about exactly what you want to talk about at all times. Right. An interview, as you know as a journalist, is a negotiation between the message the politician wants to deliver and the journalist's desire to make some news and talk about what they want to talk about. And so that was just totally uncalled for, in my view.
I mean, I largely agree with that, to be honest. Look, I mean, the one thing that I would say is that obviously I'm pretty sympathetic to AOC and Sanders for that matter, but in the outrage and the how could you ask such a thing, she of course avoided answering the actual question about whether she is going to challenge Schumer or not. I get in the abstract what Sanders is objecting to, which is the concentration on horse race politics to the potential exclusion or as a distraction from what he sees as more substantive topics. I get that argument, and I get his argument that those other substantive issues are much more important to people's day-to-day lives. When he says nobody cares, and I can't do the voice for it, but he's like, nobody cares about this person.
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
The billionaires, the 1% of the 1%.
He says nobody cares about the horse race stuff. Well, I see at the Hill what the Chartbeat numbers say about personal stuff.
How now, brown cow?
It's like people do in fact read the horse race stuff or watch the horse race stuff all the time.
Yeah.
They might in some abstract way feel more worthy when they're reading about the granular details of policy, but people do in fact care.
Yep. I also thought AOC was just a little bit more dismissive of MTG than she needed to be. Because she was like, this is just words. But MTG has joined, I think, the squad on votes on, for instance, Israel and Epstein stuff. So it's not like it's like all empty talk from MTG. I don't think it's really there's a reason to presume that's the case with her.
I do take that point that she has actually done stuff. And she, to be fair to MTG, I mean, who actually came on Rising one time, was
for
you and I, and we had quite a spirited discussion. But she has, particularly on the Israel-Gaza issue, been to the fore and has used language that at one point AOC was kind of reluctant to use herself about genocide and so forth. There is, though, personal beef there. I don't know if you remember, there was an instance where didn't Marjorie Taylor Greene sort of pursue AOC off the House floor one time, and they got into a kind of fracas of a kind. So
here's a situation where a strong and noble, healthy masculinity could have a positive impact on a female-coded environment, as what we were talking about, and everybody should watch our previous segment because this dovetails with that a little bit. I was saying how the feminine, men and women complement each other in ways, and that a feminine perspective could improve the behaviors and the communication of these men and what they're saying. Some of this catfighting we've occasionally seen break out between some of these representatives, Jasmine Crockett and
was that Green as well?
No, I don't think that was.
But there was all those things crossed party lines as well, because there was famously the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert.
Right.
They're
yes, right. I'm not saying it's party line. It's actually it's a man-women thing.
Right.
And
there's all of that.
Stronger male presence, which is not. That's not me being sexist. I was just advising healthy feminine input in the previous segment.
I did think it was interesting to that point, AOC getting on the point about sort of masculinity and young men in particular, and how they can be kind of manipulated if they are severed or isolated from social networks and from real life interactions and so forth. I don't think that is necessarily a partisan point of view at all. I think there is a legitimate issue there, and I was glad to see her raising it in that context.
Yeah, I think she was kind of circling a valid point. She was not putting it exactly the way I would, and then again goes to the that it's about the demonization of the weak and women and browner people, and I'm like, well, it's a lot of. I mean, the Trump made tremendous gains with young men of all ethnic backgrounds. It's more a male thing than it is a race thing. And, they should look to and Bernie Sanders knows this because he's used Joe Rogan to great effect. They, look at the success of the social media and the conversations where I don't think Joe Rogan is pushing the demonization of the poor or it's something else. It's some other sense of community. Where certainly there are hucksters, there are Andrew Tate type people promoting I agree with her wholeheartedly. That's who she's referring to.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's other people who are appealing to men in a way that with messaging that Democrats haven't figured out.
Yeah.
It isn't just Andrew Tate.
No. One final thing I'll say just before we have to go on this point, Robbie, it is very unusual to see even a CNN and MSNBC have a town hall built around and only around two figures actually on the left. Now, I'm fine with that. I quite welcome that.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was great.
But often, that isn't the case. And I thought, it's good.
Yeah.
Sanders and AOC have their say. And if people on the right wish to have their say, I hope they get into it.
CNN, in fairness, on Rising has made so much fun of them over the years, and some of our best segments have been about bashing them. They've made a number of programming choices in the last year that I really appreciate, and I enjoy watching a lot of it now, to give credit where it's due.
Credit where it's due to CNN.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.